just in general. Not necessarily on Train though. Train's like the one question mark for me in that sense, as to where they've, you know, in terms of gauging their performance. Whereas Envy, who were very flip-floppy most of the time, they've been, you know, remarkably solid on Train. So it's a bit of a toss-up, but I've said that Mousesports is probably my favorite for the tournament in general, so I'm going to stick with that. So I'm expecting big things from Mousesports. I don't think they would have let the map go through if they didn't have anything prepared.
No, certainly not. And again, I totally agree with what Jacob said. I think you have to have solid AWPers to be good on Train.
Yep.
And Mousesports have 2 of them. So speaking of one, Oscar, top of the USP, doesn't quite manage to get anything done, which is kind of unfortunate for him because the floodgates have now opened onto the B site where the bomb has been planted. Team up close with the Glock. He's going to put down Sunny with the help of RPK, who was a monster in the previous game and has been for the last few weeks/months. But it looks like this is going to go heavily in EnVyUS' favor, and RPK's already picked up 2. He's looking for a 3rd. Just on Sticko, who pulled off a beautiful 1v4 clutch in our previous game as well that we casted on him.
Yep.
Some of the craziest shots that you'll see.
He's not going to decide to opt for this. I'm going to hold on to his defuse kit going into the next round. Yeah,
which I'm totally okay with, actually.
Yes.
You know, you've got, what, $700, $800 of investment there?
Yeah, might as well.
Kit in the smoke?
Yeah, might as well hold on to it. Is rocking a fashionable hat as well, so joining Chad in that pool of fashionable fellas.
What is that? Is that Santa Claus?
Yeah, it's just, I want to say Santa Claus hat. Taking it to the next level.
Does look a bit nightmarish to me, though, at the same time. Kind of like creepy, you know?
I think he stole it off of Paulo as well. Because Paulo was rocking that during the post game for the first, or after the first EnVyUS game. There we have it.
Oof, 4 MAC-10s.
4 MAC-10s. Well, it's just not uncommon for if you're EnVyUS. I mean, they were the pioneers of the famous B plateau rush on Cobble with 5 MAC-10s in a buy round. So, you know, you never know what to expect from them. They do believe that grid is good though, and a heavy presence towards Ivy as well. They obviously, with a heavy investment into MAC-10s, that's going to give them a ton of utility, which is what you need to make your way forward here in these narrow passages. Cochet is going to be potentially in for a bit of a rough surprise. Actually, Envy deciding to duck out after expending pretty much all of their Molotovs. Only RPK left with 1.
Did this just a few moments prior as well, is really trying to draw out as much fire as possible, and it's certainly worthwhile when you get CZs because they do have finite amounts of ammo. So if you can draw out a good 5 or 6 bullets per turn, you're actually whittling away quite a bit of what Mousesports have to offer. Yeah,
that's very true. One thing they have to be worried about is Oscar with the scout in hand. If they're not quick to move out onto the site, they might just get tagged down. Obviously going to make the job for the pistols a lot easier. Bro, I didn't even need that.
5-7, not bothering with the CZ. He's going to get 2 kills for his troubles. Oscar's still alive somehow, but not for too much longer. And this is where the MAC-10s start to shred. But now Sunny's turn to try and put some serious pain down. Not a bad round for Mousesports, 3 kills. But again, this is going to be a freebie of a round next up for EnVyUS. And I wanted to pick your brains a little bit because obviously this round is going to be somewhat of a non-issue, a wash, yeah, as you say. RPK. Yeah. Obviously, he's been phenomenal recently, but where do you view his skill ceiling? Like, realistically, how good can this guy get? Could he be the best in the world one day?
It's kind of hard to tell because obviously with age, you don't necessarily have your peak at 29. That's not common, especially in the world of CS. But RPK was just such a unique and special talent back in the days of CSS. When he reached his peak, it was just unstoppable force. And I don't think we've seen the best out of him. And he's also made tremendous progress ever since he came back again, started playing. Just continuously getting better and better and better. So in many ways, you know, as cheesy as it sounds, sky's the limit for this guy. I think he might need a different surrounding cast in terms of becoming, you know, a contender for World's Best. But no, he definitely has the skill set and the smarts as well to just be a complete player.
So maybe a little bit weighed down at times, the rest of his team.
Yeah, like sometimes you have to play roles that doesn't necessarily allow you to do, or to be in a position where you can consistently bring it every single time, like some other star players have kind of been tailored into the perfect spots for it. But, you know, he's still doing his part to make sure that EnVyUS actually get quite a few Ws and stay competitive.
Which they're on track to do so far if they keep this up. Still very early days, but obviously we're just kind of talking over this round as it was an eco from Mousesports. They're able to take a MAC-10 away from EnVyUS, but that's pretty much all. With the bomb planted and the post-plant positions looking pretty solid for EnVyUS. And this round is a formality. It's just a matter of time. RPK is going to get himself another one. Money in the bank.
Yep. And there's no chance of Oscar actually holding on to this max and going into the next buy. He just wants to wait for the prime opportunity to potentially catch one of the EnVyUS players moving out so he can get a couple of extra bucks in here. Actually, why he's bailing away? I have no idea why he's doing this. Because you're not going to get anything from actually holding on to this max end. That's going to get swapped out. Actually wins out the duel with RPK, so will eventually get some extra money in his bank, but surprised that he didn't decide to venture out into Yard. But end result is the same. It does put him in a good position. Obviously, we talked about how Oscar is a formidable offer, and with that extra money, he's actually going to be able to afford it as well. No armor, though, but it does pick up a smoke and a flash, and not having armor as an op, especially with the aim punch changes, not the worst thing in the world, especially when you're as quick as he is.
Oh, definitely, and he'll be holding angles that will be in contention of the likes of nades as well, or wall bangs. You've got to play around your weaknesses, and Oscar's definitely a player capable of doing just that. Happy, though, often the lurker is deciding to play more of an entry role, but Sticko is going to shove the barrel down his throat and take down that kill. And Happy was all by himself. I mean, he had no feedback from the rest of his team, no retaliation whatsoever. You can see that they're very much split on opposite sides of the map.
Yeah, and now they're going to try to sell that inner fake Rops, though. Just quick work of RPK scrims there to trade, and they've actually managed to get a proper rotation out of the Mousesports squad, but it seems like they're catching on to what's going on. Movement from Ivy hasn't been quick enough, and XMS is going to get taken out by Chris J. Sixer, though, carrying the bomb, is able to find an opening, so out into Yard he goes. And Sticko, well, not really paying attention to what's going on right there. Bit of a weird situation, but Sixer comes out the victor nonetheless, and that's going to be a bomb plant in a 2v2 situation.
Yeah, it was a bit odd, maybe looking towards Ivy, I'm not sure, but Sunny should get the drop now. He's been peering around. He knows that Sixer's around there, finally gets his man, and now it's down to Scream. The headshot machine, can he land 2 one-taps? It's pretty much the best chance he's got at clutching this round, because if he gets spotted, he's basically a dead man. And he's going to come head-to-head. There's the headshot onto Sunny. And now the bomb is actually planted for him. All he has to do is spray through the smoke. This isn't looking good for Oscar, who doesn't have a kit either. And there goes Scream, and he is going to get the clutch. EnVyUS 4-0.
There we go. Strong play from Scream right there. He nearly got caught out, actually, as he moved his way over towards E-Box. But luckily as well, while he was doing that, saw someone peering out of the smoke in Sunny, so knew that nobody was on the bomb plant. Well done, being aware of where the bomb's planted. We've seen that quite a few times in pro games where seemingly players kind of just forget where the bomb's been planted while firing through smoke. Not the case this time around. So great start for EnVyUS. 4-0 with the inventory on the side of Mousesports. Not looking very likely that they're going to be able to fight one back right away. Sticko actually going to make his way undetected. Oh, is he?
Well, RPK could just get completely bamboozled now from Sticko being behind him. He will not expect this. Absolutely not. I know, Sticko. Oh, you hate to see it. You really do.
Had the world at his feet and fell flat.
Tripped over his shoelaces, face planted the wall.
Full shebang. There you go. 5 rounds for EnVyUS. So solid start to their T-half already. Sixer's going to don the op coming into the next round. And you talked about having 2 proficient oppers on the side of Mousesports. Both Chris J and Oscar able to afford that going into the second buy round. And this is where we need to see some results from Mousesports.
Oh, absolutely. It's been an incredibly rough start, but this is where they can turn it around. We've already seen massive deficits being cut in half and comebacks happen. Just look at Gambit, for example, in our previous matchup, our marathon matchup. So Mousesports can be up to the task, and Sticko's going to take a lot of damage on his retreat out of Pop Dog, courtesy of a Molotov.
Damage has been done to Scream as well, down to half HP. And Oscar just preemptively looking for that angle, seeing if he can maybe boost Sixer up. Rob's going to have to retreat behind the third train as the push comes in, and 2 immediate opening frags there for EnVyUS. Now a retake already seeming kind of faint. Well, make it pretty much unreasonable to even hope for. Chris, Soulman survivor for the time being, but they know where he is. Not a lot of escape opportunities here. As soon as he takes out Screen, that's going to alert the masses. Just finds another quick one. Starts dragging his mouse towards Happy as well, but Happy will have none of it. There we go. 6 rounds on the board for EnVyUS, and so far no impact from any of the ops on the side of Mousesports. Sure, Chris J picks up 2 frags there, but it's at the point where the game is, or the round is already over.
Absolutely.
Early timeout for Mousesports here. Needs to talk things over.
It's really hard to gauge where they've been going wrong, though. EnVyUS just seem a level above right now. Is there anything that's glaringly obvious to you?
I mean, so far, it's tough to play versus the way EnVyUS are doing it right now, especially with like an intake like that, because it's completely untelegraphed. So they basically go on contact, which doesn't allow you to get a lot of rotations. And if you don't win out the initial battles at that point, the rotation is going to be so late that you have no realistic chance of having a successful retake as a CT side. So honestly, not a whole lot of error is being made in that sense from Mousesports.
13 kills collectively as well for Mousesports thus far. Oh, the Mag 7. It felt like XMS really should have died there, but he scampers away with 33 health.
Well, Mag 7 is a fickle beast. Oftentimes you can just feel like you're actually just like putting that Mag 7 down through his throat, still just doing like 12 and 1.
I think Scream just got shanked by his teammate as well on the way across. Sticko, maybe it's time to remove the hat. It could be a curse.
Might be. So far, though, Happy's made his way out of Ivy, completely uncontested. RPK is going to make sure our Santa carrying Mousesports player goes down. And Happy is going to be there to catch off any sort of rotation. Sunny does find RPK, but to no real avail. Does find a second frag on XMS, though, making it a little bit interesting, but has to give up his position. That does mean that Envy have the opportunity to get a bomb plant down here. Scream just being weary, making sure he's not giving up anything at all. Actually going to drop the bomb for Sixer as well. So bomb's going to go down. Envy is in pretty solid after plant positions here.
Yeah, Mousesports don't have a kit. May feel pressured to start to get some rounds, but typically I think this is more of a safe situation. That being said, Oscar's gone down.
It's a question, like, well, sure, like, if you can get into aggressive position and pop, Mag 7 is definitely something you can work with, or if you want to push aggressively, like we saw Sticko did in Inner, that's also, you know, potential benefit, but Mag 7 not the most important thing to hold on to going into the next round here. That said, though, money on Mousesports' side isn't too great. Chris J and Oscar, the ones with the biggest bank, but obviously they're saving up for those double ops, and all of a sudden he's not going to get the benefit of holding on to anything at all as Happy executes them.
Well, 7-0, not much to really talk about. Again, gone from an incredibly close matchup to quite a one-sided one now. There's going to be more ops in play. Didn't work last time around. They had double ops. They're going to go for that again.
Yeah. So it's going to be utility at least to work with here. Rob's not having a Molotov for the inner bomb side could be a bit of an issue in terms of being able to delay, especially with how aggressive EnVyUS have been to actually commit to their pushes. Chris J, though, ooh.
That flash just absolutely destroyed any peak that he was hoping for, but Sticko had his back to the wall. He can actually push out and look for some frags. There's one, nearly a second, but Sixer also took down Chris J just beforehand. That's a huge trade in EnVyUS' favor.
Yeah. And again, this is going to leave Robs all by his lonesome, playing a very far back position, not going to be able to hold anyone off, really, from getting down onto the bomb site. He's just his last flashbang as well. Not going to be able to find anyone, though, but Oscar has found RPK, and Robs finally joins in on the fun. Scream goes down, and that's a 2v3 situation. And that was Envy committing into the inner bomb site with no bomb. That was obviously left outside of T main. This does force a rotation back, though, from Mousesports. They might be thinking that something's happening towards inner, but as soon as shots are fired, Oscar is going to make his way in once more.
Yeah, Robs did spot himself, one of the EnVyUS members, as he jumped up from the spools at the back of Catwalk. So he'll know roughly what's about to come up against him. Oscar still in connector. They seem like they're okay with the bomb plant going down. I mean, EnVyUS are just swimming in money at this stage. That's not really the issue. The issue is trying to retake the sites. They're going to wait for everyone to get in position. Happy's playing aggressive. Going to take the initiative for his team. He's going to pick up wall, looking for a second. Not able to get it done, but now it's down to Sixer. He's been on form today. He's been on fire. That's a hell of a shot onto Oscar, although he did pretty much present himself out in the open. And now P250 up against the M4, and Sonny's going to come out ahead. And we'll get the defuse as well. So Mousesports finally get themselves into a winning position.
Finally do. Now it's all about not getting reset. Still, you know, taking heavy losses while winning that round. Only Sonny surviving. It's going to mean you're not going to have the greatest buy, but it's going to actually be a worse buy than what they came into the round with. Chances of double op seeming very frail. Sunny does manage to hold on to the op, though. So that is a big get. That goes over on Oscar's side, but Chris J not going to be as lucky. Sitting on 3.5. He's actually going to go with the scout.
I mean, he is one of the best scout players in the world.
That is true.
So it's always nice when a weapon that cheap can prove to be so deadly if you land the headshots. And he's going to go looking in Ivy. Meanwhile, RPK straight up close. Doing work with the AK-47. Sunny again is going to try and hold on for dear life. He's already picked up one, gets encircled by RPK, and they're looking to force their aggression through connector. Rops is going to get boosted up, but you can almost guarantee that EnVyUS are going to at least have a quick look over there. Maybe he can get a frag, but he's going to have to move position as soon as he starts to fire on in. I think Oscar's trying to draw out a bit of fire here with his AWP. Rops is going to pick up a frag.
Yeah, RPK actually got tagged through, or tagged under the train as he was planning there by Oscar. Giving an opportunity for Rops to pounce on it. Still, though, they have to figure out the positions of Envy. Shkin does a great job taking out Rops, and now 1v2 with an op. Not going to be quick enough on the trigger to take out Happy, and the reset is reality. Envy just dominating Mousesports right now.
And this is pretty much the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Finally get yourself a win, instantly reset. You have basically nothing in the bank at all.
It's doom and gloom for a large part. Oscar, I guess the one guy who's come out of this somewhat okay. That's because he got dropped an op in that previous round. So he's sitting at 3.4, but the rest of the members on the Mousesports side sitting at pretty much the minimum wage. 1450 to 1700 is what we're looking at. And Happy's already found Oscar. Happy being very aggressive actually out in teammate, kind of on his own accord really, not necessarily having any backup in a scenario where he potentially could go down and give away a weapon. Well, aggression coming out in Ivy. Easy pickings for Sixer. He's taking out pretty much the safest position as he could. Right now, Mousesports seem kind of flustered. Don't really seem to find any sort of answers to EnVyUS playstyle.
Yeah, I mean, this round was pretty much a write-off. It was full USPs, basically P shooters in this scenario. Yeah. And EnVyUS able to tank through all of it. Looking good for a 9-1.
The worst part is that even with a completely clean eco, as we're seeing from Mousesports right now, that they're not going to have a great buy in the upcoming round if they decide to buy up. It's going to be a lot of FAMASs or limited utility with, you know, UMPs, that kind of stuff. So they might have to double eco, which feels really rough when you're already down 8-1. Right now, Happy's just having a ball, running around in yard, completely uncontested, finding eco frags. Sixer might run into Sunny here. He does. And Sunny's actually going to be able to find a frag here, picking up an op. Questions remains if he's actually going to be able to maintain it.
9 punch.
Answers is no.
Well, yeah, I mean, you pose an interesting question, then. How much do they prioritize having double op set up again? Because if they do, it's going to have to be a double eco. And to be honest, I haven't really seen the ops do much work at all.
Yeah, that's very true. So you might have to actually just bite the bullet, buy up here in this kind of situation, just allow Oscar to be the sole opper. Maybe having roaming a bit more, see if he can do something else instead of just going for the initial peek towards connector each and every time. See if you can actually bring it to EnVyUS in a more assertive way than what they've been doing so far. We've seen one aggressive push, and that was an Ivy. Ended up in a 1-for-2 trade, really, that didn't really favor them. This time, Oscar actually finds Happy trying to push out of connector, so something is going the way of Mousesports right now.
Gonna hold on for it, though. They've been in similar positions before and let it slip away. And although Happy's fallen down, he's not necessarily been the talisman for EnVyUS in this game. There's still many more threats to be seen off. Oscar looking in. Oh, that flashbang destroys him, and RPK will finish off the rest. And although Rops is on the site, he's going to get taken down by RPK as well, who still retains 51 of his health before he is put down with authority. But so much work from the tank once again. Scream headshot onto Chris J. And we've been here before, then. We've been in this situation quite a few times, but Sunny, maybe the only bright spot for Mousesports at this point. He's already picked up a clutch, the one sole round. But he is now all that remains. He's going to have to go for another one. Sixer can just pretty much chill at the back of the site, but now he's been picked off. Has XMS that's putting more pressure in the hands of Sixer, but he has an incendiary, and there's no smoke for Sunny. This round is done.
There we have it. Once again, it comes down to where Mousesports are able to work down the numbers of EnVyUS after Envy pretty much get onto the site with a significant man advantage, but it's just not enough to close out the rounds on RPK. And again, we talked about it in this first game. Envy is one of the best teams in the world at actually just setting up flashes for each other. It's unreal. And right there you see it. Oscar completely white, RPK. For a player of his caliber, that's just, you know, easy pickings as he moves out on higher. And I think Train is actually one of the maps where EnVyUS do this the best. Maybe coupled with Inferno. All right, now it's a slaughter fest out here in Ivy. Stico's actually going to return onto Happy after he doesn't take advantage of this favorable position, but still left alone and taken down by Sixer. This is very one-sided. And again, if you go back to the veto, EnVyUS been very up and down just in general in terms of form, but one of the places where they've always kind of had something to say, where they've always been competitive, has been Train. And as for Mousesports, not necessarily the same case in recent times. So Envy obviously have to be super happy about the veto. And obviously, they're not going to be any less happy about it with how things are panning out. But it does put into question what Mousesports were thinking. Because you would imagine if you don't necessarily play the map as much as EnVyUS do, that you have something special in store. But we haven't seen any of it up to this point.
Absolutely. We haven't seen anything to really justify picking this one up. But now Sixer has winged Rops. And the other thing as well has been incredibly one-sided in the respect that even when Mousesports went around, they only had one play left and it was a clutch. This could easily be a 12-0 scoreline right now. And RPK is having no chill as he pushes through on Catwalk. It's just so easy to him. It's almost like he can't miss at this stage. Yeah. Stico answers back, but it just seems like it's too little too late this round.
This is what Chad talked about as well, like how good RPK can be at that higher position, just walking out as leisurely as you can imagine, as just picking up 2 frags and basically ending the round right then and there. Because it happens so fast that it doesn't allow for Mousesports to have rotations in time. So it's just, you know, it's not obviously the same kind of scenario we saw in the Gambit Na'Vi game, but the idea is still the same. Like, Envy are just abusing the fact that Mousesports can't find an answer for two different things they keep throwing at them. And obviously credit to EnVyUS for realizing that and just keeping it going. This has been very, very one-sided. It doesn't really feel like we've seen Mousesports kind of enter the game yet, even if they do have one round.
RPK is 18-8 at the moment.
Yep. Showcasing why we're talking so highly of them. Tank is in full effect.
Going to be more weapons in play for Mousesports, but again, just the nature of how this map has been going, it doesn't seem to matter whatever weapons Mousesports have. They are just second best through and through. I think Sunny's the only player that has equal kills to deaths. Everyone else is easily more deaths than kills.
Yeah, that's by quite some margin as well. It's Sunny at 12, and then it drops down to 5 on Oscar and Stico and Rops. Wow. So far, Envy not really being put to the test. They've pretty much been successful with everything they've done. Now we're seeing a bit of a switch up in the Mousesports defense, opting to have 2 players on the inner bomb site from the get-go and leaving Ivy completely open. Seems like Envy has a bit of an idea of this. Chris with a very passive position to hold things off, so it's not, you know, very tough for Envy to actually grab, you know, jump out, get control over backline, something like that. If they choose to do so again, perfect flashes. We'll find 2 opening frags though. This is turning out way better for Mousesports with limited weaponry and utility. Yeah. Managed to clean it up. Only 1 man going down. That's Chris J after finding 2 frags. So finally, something going the way of Mousesports. You have to wonder if it's a little bit too little too late.
When it rains, it pours, right? I mean, nothing was happening. A drought of frags, and suddenly, just in the blink of an eye, 4 kills go their way.
Yeah.
So the thing is, you know, just watching the Gambit game, it was 13-5, they bounced back. If Mousesports can, there's a lot of maybes, ifs and buts coming up right now, yeah. But if Mousesports take the next round, if they win the second pistol, if they then
win the first, like first buy round, and
then it's not quite over just yet, but obviously it's looking pretty terrible at this point. They need to win this round though. That's an absolute must guarantee.
Yeah. Well, Rops trying something new, going aggressive initially on the inner bomb site, but gets flashed out, has to retreat, and also forces Oscar to keep an eye on towards higher. But in the meantime, we've seen this quite a few times. Happy just walking about on his lonesome in yard. Finds the frag once more. And this does create the space that they need to go towards this inner bomb site.
Those are the kind of kills that Oscar needs to capitalize on. I believe he did tag RPK, but it was legged him down to 4. It's a bit unfortunate not to outright get the frag, but bomb is going to get planted all the same. Last round of the half, of course. There are Molotovs on both teams. RPK, wouldn't you know it, on 4 health, peeks round and puts Oscar down. And now Rops at the back of the site, way back on the ramp. Has his work cut out from only a FAMAS as well to make matters worse. RPK about to go and haul around him. Can thank his lucky stars that he hasn't been pulled out of this round just yet. You just guarantee he's going to get more frags out of this, don't you? You just know it. On his 4 health, he's going to just be the determining factor. Or perhaps not. And now the Molotov's going to go down from 6er, and that's pretty much just going to outright win the round. There's no smoke to get rid of it. They're going to have to jump through the molly, and down he goes. EnVyUS will take the first half 13-2.
Yeah, but even though RPK doesn't end up getting a frag in that kind of a situation, they've known that he's playing up close to the connector area for so long, ever since he picks off Oscar, and Mousesports have no real way of actually gaining that control over the map. So they use a ton of time just figuring out how they want to approach it. Eventually, they just kind of decide to ignore him for the better part of it. You could see, I think it was Stiko who just jumped over to the second train and decided to negate him in that sense. But at that point, it's been way too much time off the clock. Bomb goes down, and EnVyUS finishes it off with 13 rounds on the T side. And I think it was Chad who mentioned this during the desk as well, that when they played Train the last time around, it was also 2 massive halves from each side. But I think it was on the CT side that time around, if I'm not mistaken. But we definitely got, you know, the first part of the prophecy, I guess, in play. So now it's on Mousesports to see if they can replicate what they did the previous time they played.
Yeah, so 13-2 just really leaves you such little wiggle room. You make one mistake, that's pretty much it over. And this pistol is the first test. It really is make or break, do or die for Mousesports at this stage.
Yeah. No real faults coming out from EnVyUS side as well. Just a very clean T side. We're never really forced to pull out anything special. Just went with what worked. Now, smoke goes out from Chris J, and well, Scream's already about his business, one-tapping people. Down goes Rops.
Looking for more as well. He's hungry for more frags. Feed him. But Oscar's just going to feed him lead. And now 6er and XMS do back away. It's going to be RPK, of course, playing aggressively, who has dropped the bomb out in a bit of a sticky situation. Happy round the backside. He's going to see if he can claim Pop Dog for his own. But Oscar's not selling it just yet. Sonny, the meanwhile, taking his Glock and putting it to good use, leaving 6er. 1 on 3. This is what the doctor ordered from Mousesports. They needed this. They desperately needed it. It's not quite over just yet, but it's looking good for them. 6er is going to be dispatched off by Chris J, and the long climb, the long trek back into this map begins.
Slow and steady wins the race. That's kind of the mantra that Mousesports have to follow going out here from now on. Definite opportunities for EnVyUS to close out that round. Obviously, with the first frag that Scream picks up, allows him to get plenty of time to reposition and actually get into a pretty decent spot from E-Box, where he should normally be able to win out those kind of duels. Same thing with Happy as well, as he drops down into Pop. So Mousesports escaped that fate just for now. Quick entry out into Yard here with multiple people, not just a Soul Warrior like EnVyUS did with Happy.
Speaking of Happy, he's in Connect Up, but because of that smoke, they pretty much just have to dart back.
Yeah. And if you're Emmy in this kind of scenario, you've gambled towards the ender bomb side, didn't pan out. Either set up for exit frags or just try to hold on to your weaponry going into the next round as well, because we know that CZ armor could do a massive amounts of damage as long as you get into the right nook and cranny.
Especially now as well, when you're 10 rounds in the lead, soon to be 9 rounds in the lead, you're in no rush. You don't need to force, you don't need to do anything ridiculous or anything risky. Yeah. You can just play super passive, super boring, you know, just play very safe.
Smart.
Yeah, and smart, ultimately, you know.
I mean, I think we see way too many teams actually still fall for the temptation of like, oh, we're up by 9 rounds. We can mess around here a bit. We can do a completely unnecessary force buy because it would be really cool if we just ended the match now.
Yeah, for sure.
That doesn't always pan out. I mean, we saw the wonky buy from Na'Vi, for instance, on Inferno that eventually, ended up being an overtime ×5 game, where they potentially could have had an extra buy in there that would have been what they needed to get them over the limit and end it in regulation.
Yeah, I'm totally a fan of that save. I think too many times teams will try and get too aggressive and too greedy. But as you say, this is effectively the reset button. It's okay, take 2.
Yeah, now different approach, or not, I say that ends up being the same approach from Mousesports, sending 3 players out into yard very quickly. This time around, though, EnVyUS do have players outside. Already seeing some results here.
Smash for the double taps, but he is going to go down. That being said, he did do a lot of damage to Sunny, and RPK will finish him off. Trying to trade out the scout for the AK. EnVyUS, although they are a player to the good, well, no longer. I was going to say Sixer and Scream are both so low that they're effectively dead men walking at this stage. Scream 7 health and Happy on a full 100, but just the CZ on the boost. It's almost a one and done sort of scenario, and that's Mousesports to make a real hash of this and mess it up and just push right past him without checking the angle. And they're not going to do that. Chris J, Galil headshot. And now Scream is going to see if he can sneak himself a kill or 2.
He's been staying put in that position for quite some time. So would assume that Mousesports have a faint idea at least as to where he could be. Seems like he's just completely content with staying where he is and having one of the Mousesports players kind of run into him. Sound cues bait him out though, as he's looking for Oscar. Christie turns the corner and ends it. So 2 kills, not the worst scenario for Mousesports obviously, but then again, EnVyUS didn't have to invest anything at all into that round because of the save. Exactly.
So it allows them to get a healthier buy into the next one without going for a full USP round. And we're going to have a pretty healthy dosage of weaponry, actually. An AWP in hands of Sixer. It is glass cannon, but the rest of the players filtering through with M4s. They don't have a kit. They do have nades to play with, at least. Going for firepower over utility overall.
Yeah. I mean, with the way they've kind of been winning out every duel so far versus all the Mousesports players, it's not necessarily the silliest choice. Zico's going to win out that battle, though, with Scream. No trade to be found either. Sixer's also been tagged down as well. And now, slowly but surely, Mousesports grabbing more control over the yard area. So left to deal with Sixer here in the back lines. Or just ignoring completely. Have Oscar pushing his way out of Ivy, completely uncontested as well. The entire Mousesports and Envy team has actually just fallen back. They might just be content with saving here.
Yeah. I think, again, it just comes down to what you said. Smart plays. Don't give anything away for free.
Yep.
Keep what you can. Just say to Mousesports, fair enough. Look, you're building up a bit of momentum here. It's no problem. You still got a long, long way to go before we start to worry.
One of the things Envy has to consider right now, if they don't lose any more players, is whether or not they want to force up behind this with the 2 dead players, because they're obviously not going to have anything more than potentially a ZZ, Deagle, that kind of thing, Kevlar, unless they get dropped something from their teammates. It's also a discussion worth having.
Now PK is going to drill Sunny in the head. Sixer picks up a frag as well. This is actually getting costly now for Mousesports.
It is. I mean, Chris J is the one guy alive. Well, Robs has a fairly healthy bank as well, but Sunny and Stico not looking too healthy. So this is going to put a bit of a damper on their success. They are getting rounds, though, and then in the end, that's really what matters when you're behind as much as you are. And we'll be able to kind of spread the wealth to get a proper buy-in here with lots of utility. And for EnVyUS, we're seeing some restraint here.
Yeah, just pistols.
Yeah, not going in for the full investment. XMS actually just buying a Deagle, so he's got a bit of a healthier economy as well. Scream with the head Kevlar does actually sink in a bit deep, but
he's dead.
Yeah,
he's been a murder, and Scream's dead. XMS in the meanwhile on his 94 health. He's going to be put down as well. Stico's doing work. This is revitalized Mousesports. We did not see this at all on the CT side. And Stico's going in for thirds. Seems to be a hungry boy right now. Sixer plucks him out in mid-air. That must have been a hell of a shot. But it's probably just a drop in the bucket at this stage.
Yeah. Duck hunting will only get you so far. Still 3 men alive for Mousesports. They're going to get the round as well, putting him to 7. And, well, Sixer moving back here might actually get caught out. Ooh, turns around at the right time. Finds Oscar, but now he needs to get out of dodge here. Is he going to go for the most optimistic defuse attempt ever? No. Decides to think better of it and actually makes his way in towards the inner bomb site where there's safe passage. No one from Mousesports actively hunting for him anymore.
Again, you can see the economy, although full round losses coming in, still isn't in the greatest shape for EnVyUS. So of course they want to hold on to this AWP. Can't afford to throw this away. And Mousesports, slowly but surely, I feel like when they get to double digits, that's when maybe EnVyUS will start to feel a pinch a little bit more. But for the time being, they're okay.
There's still plenty of time for EnVyUS to try to figure things out, how they want to approach their buys and whatnot. And they still have pauses they can take as well to talk things over if they realize that there's something, in particular that they are failing at pretty much. And so far, it's been Yard that's getting picked apart. Obviously, they have had limited weaponry a lot of these rounds, but yeah, something to take into account. Double ops coming out. This is actually one of the very few maps where I think EnVyUS do a decent enough job with double ops to actually justify buying it.
Yeah, we saw them try and rock it on Cash, and it honestly just didn't seem to work very well. Sixer was by far and away the most effective side of that double ops, but maybe here on Train, I feel like most teams will have double ops in some capacity.
Yeah.
Very solid RPK, forced back into a more passive position as a result of the fire and flames that were encircling him. And Happy did see the player drop from Catwalk. Scream gets a flashbang to the forehead, but still able to jump on top of that kill on Sunny. He's going to be trying to push his way with a flash. In the meanwhile, XMS on the rotation picks up one. Needs to be careful not to team kill Scream, who he was thinking about shooting at for 1 second. He's down to 16 health. And now Sticko's going to try and use that smoke to his advantage. One of only 2 players left alive, and Chris J is the other. He's already picked up a frag, but now the bomb. He's in a pretty tenuous position for him to try and defend. And defend he cannot. EnVyUS back into winning ways.
Back into winning ways indeed. Happy does go down with one of the ops though. And one of the things that EnVyUS really like to do once they get to that double op is just shore up the ender bomb site with Happy and RPK. Just playing there from the get-go, not necessarily relying on rotations from Happy through connector or anything like that. Just play full on 2 players on that ender bomb site. It's not going to be a possibility for them anymore.
That's precisely the reason why EnVyUS wouldn't have been panicking, because they know all they have to do is win 1 round and all the pressure goes back on Mousesports, and Sixer has threaded the shot through smoke. Rops will return fire onto Scream, and Sticko lands the headshot. We saw him push up in almost identical fashion a couple of rounds prior when he picked up his 3K before being silenced by Sixer, but this time it's Happy from the backside with his FAMAS that's going to do work. Can't get a second, Sunny up on top of the train. We'll get him down and out. And now it's down to RPK and Sixer, the 2 players that were on form on Cash. Sunny going to pick up the bomb and just sprint straight to B. And the question is, will RPK be there through connector to meet him? And so far, no. He's just going to be perched up in heaven.
Yeah. And if you're EnVyUS in this situation, you're better off to actually staying put, staying as a bit of a unit, so you have an idea of either getting a trade frag or actually figuring out where Sunny is playing from if one of you go down. They also have smokes and Molotovs as well to help with the retake. And there's no smoke on the side of Sunny as well, so he can't necessarily extinguish a Molotov or
it's just so
hide
hard.
away in the smoke.
It's so hard to see how he clutches this round now. Well, getting a free kill like that's definitely going to help matters. But the smoke is on the opposite side of the train. It's on top of the bomb at this point. It's going to force Sunny into an interesting position, but Six is there with his AWP. It's actually going to be very close,
Did he actually duck away, which is going to cost him? Yeah. Him actually jumping away for no good reason costs him the round.
Sixer, bruh.
Accurate. Very, very accurate. That's a sad trombone moment right there, or sad trumpet.
That's the jump you're talking about, right? Where it went to the side for no reason.
Yeah. I'm not sure why. Okay, you have a cushion, sure, fair enough, but
Yeah, but those are the kind of moments, man, where your teammates are going to get on your back a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'd definitely be annoyed with that. Probably wouldn't voice it out loud, but, definitely later on. In any case, that puts Mousesports onto 8. They did lose every member possible, but luckily for them, that does mean the reset on the French side as well. So a bit of a cushion here to play with. But we do know that the pistols on the side of Envy can do a lot of damage.
And you've got to say as well, if this game does get close, or if Mousesports come back and win, how important is that whiff?
Oh, it's massive. Absolutely gigantic. We'll see how that plays into the mentality of Envy, but in we go with Mousesports. Stico goes down. Great job by RPK. Does a lot of damage onto Chris J as well. We'll get taken out. Oscar is peered up. Actually not going to spot Happy as he walks in under this Under the iron sights. Crosshairs, if you like.
Oh, nearly line up for Ops. And the spray finally is transitioned across for a 3K in the end. One step closer.
Yeah.
One more foot on the rung of the ladder towards this comeback.
And if you're EnVyUS at this point, obviously you, well, first off, you need to decide whether or not you want to buy. I say don't, considering the economy, and they're shun restrained as well. But if you lose the next buy round, I think that's an excellent time to go for a tactical pause, talk things through, figuring out what you need to do. If you want to play aggressively, put some pressure on. Oh. Mousesports nearly mucking things up for themselves there by blocking each other in the ladder. Still come away with the opening frag, though. Oscar finding one player. Scream trying to pounce on the opportunity, hoping that Seiko might be reloading.
Yeah, that's exactly it. He was trying to be opportunistic, and you can understand why. I mean, it looks like a poor play, but realistically, what other options do they have? They know they're going to get slaughtered off these guns. You've got to roll the dice and hope for the best.
Yeah, he was boxed in as well, because Mousesports already had control over team main as well, so they had players looking in for the exit point from Pop Dog as well. So there was only one way out, and that was through fire and flames and lots of bullets.
So we have got to that double-digit mark now for Mousesports. This is where maybe EnVyUS start to look over their shoulder a little bit more.
Yeah. We're going to see double up coming out again once more for EnVyUS. Last time they had it, very successful in winning a round. They don't really need to be successful that many more times as well. Then again, though, not opting to do that steady two-man inner bomb site setup that they've been doing quite a lot. Instead, Happy having a bit of a freer role roaming around out in yard.
Oscar's going to get smoked off, hoping that his patient wait would be fruitful, but not quite the case. Sunny should have the drop onto XMS, who just straight up peeks out into his crosshair. Not a single point of health. Well, in fact, pardon me, he actually did lose a bit of health, just 22 though. But very much a free kill in the end. A clean kill as far as he's concerned. About a minute left on the time.
Well, RPK going aggressive on the inner bomb side. Not getting spotted out yet. There we go. Robs finds him, and that's going to open up the venues towards the inner bomb site. Happy not yet in place to actually deal with this. Smokes go down. They are able to push forward as well. And now Happy has to be very, very afraid.
That's saved now, surely. You have an AWP, you've got an M4. What realistic hopes and chances do you have of clutching this round?
Not a whole lot. Oh, Sixer's even going to miss the shot as well. All right, well, if you're EnVyUS right now, I think this is a perfect time to take a pause, talk things through, figure out what you want to do. If you're going to move aggressively like you did with XMS in that kind of scenario, at least have somebody flash in for him in towards T main. Basically, have a plan behind your moves at any given time. Because right now, EnVyUS are looking very much like what we saw Mousesports do on their CT side.
Yeah, I think he's spot on. I fully agree. I would really like to see a tactical timeout called, and that's exactly what's happened. Mousesports will have to wait a little bit longer before they pursue the ruthless aggression. EnVyUS have called it.
Now, just a question whether or not Malik has been able to spot what the issue is for EnVyUS. Right, if they can actually have something to remedy it. Obviously, a buy is not going to be in play here for the EnVyUS side, at least not a buy that would make sense. So it's on them to tough it out for one more round, maybe do some inner aggression. We haven't really seen a whole lot of that. For a period of time, a lot of the CT sides on, or a lot of the very successful CT sides on Train were based around a lot of aggression towards Ivy, into teammate or inner.
Yeah, even up ramp.
Yeah, but we haven't necessarily seen that all that much in this game. So maybe that's something that they have up their sleeve.
But they could even get Sixer peeking up on the box holes with an AWP or just something different. We haven't really seen anything like that from them so far. But as you say, it's not going to be really any kind of a solid buy in this round. And it has been sort of a carbon copy reversal where both teams have just had shocking CT sides. They just don't seem to be able to handle what their opposition's throwing at them, and that's going to be a fast push out. Rops is looking for some kills. He's going to find one onto Happy, looking for a second. We'll pick it up onto screen, and that's, as expected, going to be another round going the way of Mousesports.
Oh. Sixer right now just toying around with Oscar. Don't want to do that too much, though. Oscar has Oh, it's actually Sunny. In any case. Don't want to do that too often versus sharpshooters, and Sunny eventually will claim his prize. And his Mousesports make it to 12 rounds. And now remains to be seen whether or not we're going to see, again, double up setup from EnVyUS, if they're going to stick true to that, if they're going to go for aggression. Happy already picking up that up immediately, so I would assume...
You assume Sixer will as well.
Yeah, exactly. Sixer's been having a pretty good game, obviously outside of that one odd slip-up, you know, as he's about to defuse. He's been doing pretty well for himself. And the one round that EnVyUS has picked up so far this half was with the double up setup, so...
Well, that's Happy. He has struck with his AWP. He's down to 15 health. We're not going to see any aggression on the B side. He's going to be RPK by himself, so they're stacking 4 and 8. And with the opening pick, that really does alleviate a lot of the pressure that's being applied to EnVyUS. Robs is going straight down. This is incredibly ballsy. If anyone's connected, he's basically a dead man, but he's called the play. And now he's out on B, so that's going to draw some of the players away from the A site. So important, though, that RPK gets that kill and gets it quickly. Because now Mousesports are caught in 2 minds. Do we go and rotate towards the B site? Do we just stick in position?
Yeah, and if you honestly, if you're EnVyUS at this point, you could be perfectly fine leaving RPK alone. You're 2 men up. But then again, you don't need as much of a defense towards yard with that man advantage as well. It's going to be less to deal with. And he gets traded out as well. So now it's down to Oscar and Stiko. And, well, Oscar gets spotted out. Stiko as well. So they don't know where both the remaining Mousesports members are. 40 seconds left on the clock. They're going to have to reconvene and figure out what they want to do. It seems like they want to take their action towards the inner bomb site, where now RPK is the sole defender. He's playing very passively as well. He's just going to spot for information. There he goes. Finds it. Backs off.
Now Happy with his AWP, moves into position. And they both chime off with kills. 3 match points. So EnVyUS, the pause has done them good.
Yeah. Bit of a different take from Mousesports that time around as well. Oftentimes in their defaults, we've seen Sunny being the aggressor towards yard. Even though it's been, you know, regardless if he's been alone or not, he's been the first man out. This time it was Chris J getting caught out by Olaf. And that obviously sets things into a bit of an evil spiral. Rops trying to create some sort of a diversion towards the inner bomb site, but gets picked up by RPK. And from that point on, EnVyUS just has to play it safely to get to map point. And Sixer finds Oscar as well. That's a massive get in this kind of a situation.
That's simply huge. AWPers out of the equation, or at least one of them. The main AWPer. Ooh, and he wasn't far off that flick either. That could have been the round and the match.
Very well could have been, and well, Mousesports just kind of stuck behind the smokes for now. They do have a lot of utility though to still move forward. Bomb is dropped, so not necessarily fully committed to this quite yet. I'm actually going to drop the AWP out of the map there, so it's going to be all rifles from here on out. Oh. Well then.
Oh, Sunny, you just got straight up spanked.
There we go. Well, that is what Scream does.
We said he was the headshot machine, but he's also the one-tap master as well. Combine the two, and you got yourself some sexy CS, and Sunny didn't know what hit him. He was in mid-air. Just absolutely smashed.
It's not supposed to happen.
It's just not meant to be, is it? Rops has just seen the shoulder of RPK peak, but RPK also saw Rops, hence the smoke has gone down, and it will draw likely one of these players out from the A side. They can afford to send a player across. They have a 2-player advantage. It's not as if they're going to be massively outgunned. But now Scream is going to see more action. Are we going to have any more one-taps into play? Not quite yet. Maybe not required. XMS with his M4 sprays down into Stiko. Rops can't get it done, and neither can Scream. It's all on Chris J. 1 on 5. He's not going to be able to take it, and EnVyUS will be victorious. It was laboured in the end after a 13-2 first half, but they get it done.
They get it done in the end, but yeah, definitely stuff to work on there on their